Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, January 26th. So we have another full day of the moon being in Scorpio, of course, not as intense, not as crisis point-ish as it was yesterday when we had that last quarter moon in Scorpio. Today, we are feeling the shift. We are feeling the transformation. We're feeling the aha moments. And with all of those feels and realizations, we're starting to get a little bit emotionally excited for some of the experiences that now we know we have to create for ourselves. We're gaining a lot more clarity. We're putting the puzzle pieces together. There's this deep transformation that takes place when the moon is in Scorpio. First, it shifts our psyche. Second, it shifts our heart space. And of course, those two need to be in alignment before we're going to see any changes in our physical realm. So today we have this beautifully deep and passionate, intensely transformative moon in Scorpio, making 10 of the 12 different aspects that are taking place in our cosmos. Right out of the gate, this is a beautiful thing. This is where the transformation starts. The moon in Scorpio harmonizes its energy with Pluto, who rules over Scorpio energy. This energy is where the transformation begins within us. We have had some very intense events happen to us in a very short amount of time. And yesterday's reflection and review, rewriting the narrative on how it all went down, is changing the energy that we're carrying in our physical bodies due to the mental understanding that we now have, the emotional repercussions of changing that inner narrative. And now we're actually starting to see the rewards for all of the inner work that we're actually doing. Now the moon squares Saturn. This again, a little bit of a power struggle, because here's the thing. We've had enough realization at this particular point in time to recognize what it is that we're no longer in alignment with, especially when it comes to the roles and responsibilities that we've committed to. We recognize that that old version of ourselves needed those particular roles and responsibilities to find a sense of meaning, to find a sense of purpose and worth. And now, because we're going through this very deep transformative state, we recognize, that's actually sucking the life out of me. That is not filling me up with joy. That is not even looking like a supportive foundation that could bridge the gap between where it is that I'm at and where it is that I want to be. And now I feel this overwhelming guilt and the weight of these responsibilities just suffocating my soul. So what is it that I'm going to do? Well, I'm going to boss up. And first of all, I'm going to get a grip on my emotions. I'm going to get a grip on what it is that actually needs to go, what it is that I can actually transform into a better situation to lighten the load that it's playing on my shoulders and on my heart space. And this essentially is where we recognize that we have to make some serious changes and take action in our physical realms to rearrange the systems, the routines, the structures in our day-to-day life that's going to help promote and support us in making the changes that we now know we have to make inside our head space, inside our heart space, before we can see them in our physical realm. The moon bumps into Chiron in the most beautiful way, and this is super healing. This is why I say today is a very transformative day. We feel a lighter energy. We feel the weight be lifted, mostly because we're gaining clarity on what needs to stay and what needs to go. There's a huge amount of inner healing work, especially taking place on that heart chakra and in that head space. We have to keep in mind that Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, and Venus, ruler of the heart space, are still both retrograde. They're in the underbelly. They're in the underworld, the dark realm, so to speak, where there's a lot of realizations, purging and releasing happening, freeing our energetic body up to align with a new mission and a new purpose that's going to invoke joy and happiness instead of constantly repeating the same past patterns and behaviors that have triggered pain in the past. The sun is going to semi-square Neptune. Now, here's the thing. The sun is in Aquarius, so we are thinking very bright. We are focusing all of our life force energy on where it is that we have to free ourselves from some of the confines and restrictions of our old selves, our old lives, our old relationships, our old roles and responsibilities. Neptune, being in Pisces, wants us to align with our higher selves, with our intuition, to gain the perspective that we have to gain in order to, one, fully release those things that we're no longer in alignment with, two, be brave enough to actually stand in a situation where we know we have to do better, we have to improve, we have to progress. And three, where it is that we have to kind of unleash a new level of creativity in our lives in order to come up with some solutions to these not so nice problems that we've now definitely identified are alive and well within ourselves and within our physical realms. The moon is going to semi-square Mars. And of course, Mars is a co-ruler to Scorpio energy. Mars, again, fresh into Capricorn energy, ready to get going, ready to build, ready to manifest, ready to take control, ready to put the pieces together. But we're not being encouraged to do that just yet. Now, this particular aspect could create a little bit of friction, a little bit of restlessness, a little bit of frustration within us, because the moon in Scorpio knows that in order to transform, we can't be impulsive. The moon in Scorpio knows that it takes time, it takes patience, it takes a thorough process of review, of release, of surrender, of purging, to make sure that the fragmented energies from the elements and attachments that we're looking to let go of are cleared from our energetic and physical realm before we can start building something new. The moon is going to bump into Mercury in a very positive way. This is probably the first time in a long time that we gain a little bit of clarity and we feel like our heart and our head is in a little bit of an alignment with one another. Of course, the Scorpio energy is like the detective of the zodiac, asking the right kinds of questions of ourselves to get to the deep-seated problems, the deep-seated issues on why it is that we are the way we are, why we feel the way we do, why we think the way that we do. And now that Mercury is retrograde back in Capricorn energy, we have the blinders on. We're ready to pick apart the details and to overanalyze and to be a little bit more logical and practical instead of overly emotional about the findings that we're going to definitely uncover when we do that deep probe within ourselves. This is an epiphany. This is a realization. This is an awareness of all that is changing within us and in our physical realms. The moon is going to trine Neptune. This is a beautiful energy for us to download some very, very intense insights. Our intuition is strong. Our visions are strong. Our healing abilities are strong. This particular aspect might even be the most powerful aspect that we have here today, especially riding off of the earlier aspect, bumping into Pluto, where we see a deep soul cleansing, purging, releasing, letting go, surrendering to the darker parts that we've definitely illuminated in order to strengthen our light body, our energetic selves, our highest selves, because of the strength of our intuition that we're now using to make sense of why the hardships, the pains, the struggles had to happen for our soul's evolution. Mercury trines the true node. This is a beautiful energy because, first of all, the true node wants us to think about the future, wants us to see where it is that we want to be, see the dreams, see the goals, see the big picture vision. Mercury, though, retrograde in Capricorn, we're reflecting back. We're retracing our steps. We're like, oh, okay, so this particular detail got totally screwed. This got removed from my path. I understand why, because if that wasn't removed, then I would have never seen that this was an option. And basically, we're going through this connecting dot stage where we're reflecting back in order to get a good idea on where it is that we currently stand. Because our realizations of all the things that have transpired lead us to this powerful moment here in the present so that we can make plans on how our realizations, our wisdom, our knowledge, our experience from the past is going to impact the choices, the direction, the moves that we're willing to make moving forward. So we are connecting the dots. We are kind of becoming a little bit more aware of where it is that, certain situations happen to us so that we could grow, we could improve, that preparing us to move forward. So we have the moon bumping into Chiron. Probably not in the most idealistic way, definitely not as harmonious as it did earlier on in the day. But this particular bump is only a minor one because it needs to illuminate for us, especially just connecting the dots to some of the information that has changed, some of the past, some of the plans that have changed. We're recognizing where it is that we're feeling a little bit butthurt, sore, still very raw, wide open about some of the situations that have transpired. That's okay. We need to feel what it is that still needs to be healed. The moon is going to help us out by bumping into the sun. This is an overlap of old versus new, conscious versus unconscious, what is out of our control versus what is in our control. The moon in Scorpio, very connected on what is going on with these aha moments, these connections that we're making from the past. And the sun is shining a bright light on these elements saying, wouldn't it be nice to let that go? Free yourself of that memory, free yourself of that pain. Let's push ourselves. Let's improve ourselves. Let's grow ourselves. Let us definitely sever the connections and the cords from this painful situation, and let's look forward. Let's look to the future. The moon is going to semi-square Venus, who again is preparing to go direct on the 29th. This is definitely going to give us a little bit of a time out to get in alignment with what our heart space is feeling. Now, Venus, of course, she's going through this power struggle within herself. She's recognizing the changes that she has to be empowered to make once she becomes direct. That includes getting rid of some people in our lives. That includes getting rid of some bad habits that are not supporting or encouraging us to be our best selves. And the moon in Scorpio wants to illuminate this darkness in order for Venus to get a good picture, a good feel on how dirty all of this feels so that she can be inspired and motivated to stay in alignment with her plans to make these changes once she gets out of this dark pit. The moon is going to sextile Pluto. We start the day off with a beautiful alignment with Pluto. We end the day off with a beautiful alignment with Pluto. And this is deeply transformative. We are going to feel like a million versions of ourselves throughout the day. What we lock in before we head to bed Wednesday night is the transformation that we are locking in our energetic bodies, in our soul selves, by reflecting on the ups and downs of the day, on the aha moments, the realizations of the day, and recognizing where it is that we've stood in our power, that we've faced our pain, that we've illuminated the darkness within ourselves, and that we have chosen to do better. We constantly need to be illuminated of that obsession of looking at our pain, looking at our trauma, looking at our past suffering, and recognizing that it has been divinely scripted in our lives to act as inspiration and a motivation and a catalyst in order for us to push ourselves to be better, to make something out of that pain, to turn that darkness into a source of light.